Hello, everyone, and thanks so much for tuning in to the Raise Your Own Bar podcast. My name is Tamara Bucky, and I'm so excited to have a special guest today, Miss Judiece Oliphant. She is a wonderful Huntsville native who has worked in the culinary field for over a decade, but now is an aspiring entrepreneur as well as a life coach. And her specialty is advocacy for the young people and especially women in particular. Welcome, Judiece. How are you?
Hello, Tamara. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great. It's so good to see you. Oh my goodness.
It's
Thank
good
you
to
so
see
much
you
for
too,
doing
girl.
this.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, what have you been up to lately? I know you've had some changes in your life. What's going on?
Yes, I have. So lately I'm currently working in the school system. So I'm a teacher's aide at Madison Crossroads Elementary. I love it. I'm in the SPED department. So we got about 10 kids in there. I call them my babies. It's fun. It's uh entertaining at times. I'm learning as they're learning.
Yeah.
Um I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. I look forward to going to work every day. Um I recently started a creative business doing balloon bouquets, which I'm excited about. It's called Judy Blooms. You remember the Judy Bloom books?
Yes.
This kind of I used to read those books when I was a little girl. So that's kind of where the idea came from with the name. And then balloons, like blooming flowers, but balloons. So I kind of mixed that
Yeah.
together.
I love that.
Um, so there's that. And then I wrote a journal last year for foster. Well, no, I published it last year, wrote it like the year before last. So it's been about a 2 year process for foster youth. It's called Solid, a guided journal for foster youth. Because as I had a background in foster care, and it took me a while to accept that. You know what? I really want to give back. But now that I'm at that place of embracing it and pressing forward in that, I published a journal, and it's basically talking about just inner things that go on with foster youth, like forgiveness and setting boundaries and how they see themselves, identity, which is a big thing, how they see the future, if they even have like any hope for the future or a good future at that, not just any future, actually a good future, something better than the past. So it's a guided journal. Pushed that out last year, and then I was like, okay, Laura, what's next? Okay, so now we're working on building that into a actual organization, and it's called Solid Youth. And through the organization, centered around the journal, there will be life coaching. So I'm bringing in other um, passionate people who want to help foster youth to offer various kinds of coaching. There's going to be a financial assistance aspect, and there's going to be some like public speaking and training along with that. And that's it, girl.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, congratulations on your publication. That sounds like a very useful tool for people in general, but especially foster kids. And wow, I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited to see what you're going to do to really help shape these young people, because I can only imagine how hard it is to not have a built-in support system like most of us have with our families. Even if we have a tumultuous family, at least we do have that. So growing up in foster care has to be one of the most challenging things to really overcome, because once you get out, you turn 18, you're on your own.
That's
You
it.
are out here, you against the world, and you have to figure it out. So it's a blessing to hear that you are providing resources for these kids.
Yeah. And that's where so I always like to tell people I can't speak for other states. I can't speak for other counties, but for Madison County DHR, they do a decent job with preparing young people before they age out with, stuff like housing and making sure they have jobs and resources around scholarships and things like that. But I just always felt like the missing piece was, well, what about if they're struggling to create, like I said, set some of the things I mentioned, like setting boundaries for themselves, or what if they're struggling with their with their identity? How does a young person um create a stable life if those things aren't addressed before they build their lives? And true enough, it's possible. People do it. We do it every day, but it's so much harder. And that was part of my story. I think there were a lot of things that I experienced and overcame and endured, and some that I still am going through. That if I would have had some of these key points that are in the journal when I was a lot younger, it would have made my transition into adulthood a lot smoother. So yeah.
Wow. Well, just setting boundaries alone is an art and a science, and one that many people, not just coming out of foster care, but many people don't know how to do it. And they feel guilty for doing it because a lot
Mm-hmm.
of us grow up with families that are not good at having boundaries. And so we
Mm-hmm.
learn these bad habits. You kind of have to unlearn them at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you get strong and you started setting boundaries with new people, it's somewhat easier. But then how do you set them with people that have known you? So
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about that a little bit. What are some of the tools or tips or things to consider when you need to evaluate your boundaries and figure out how to start setting them?
Well, interestingly enough, I recently, like this past year, reconnected with my family. Okay. There was a time where and I don't think they would mind me share this because it's all good things, okay? But there was a time where I was not connected. I did not want to be connected. And so during that time frame, I think for me that looked like just setting boundaries and being okay with, hey, and true enough, I probably could have communicated these things a little better. But it just within myself, just first and foremost, being okay with not being connected until I got to a place of being healthy enough, being stable enough, and knowing um why I'm like desiring the relationships now, because sometimes we don't always want to have relationships with our family. Sometimes we don't always desire to have relationships with our family. Um, and that's okay. But for me, I got to a point where I'm ready to have these relationships because I want our family legacy to be different than what it's been. When I have children, I want them to know their aunts and uncles, and I want them to know their granddad. I want to be a support to them just as much as I want them to be a support to me. But it took time to get to that point. And now that I am building these family dynamics and relationships, um, I'm learning how to walk out the boundaries. Like, hey, I don't like when you cut me off. Like it could be something as small as that. And sharing it in love and then moving on. Like, yeah, we're still cool, but I don't like when you do that. And just different things like that. Um, one thing I feel like I've learned and am still learning, all this stuff is like an ongoing learning process, is that like boundaries are always set in love. It's not to be, like hateful, or it's not to be mean, is not to cut people out, but it's in love. Like I love myself first and foremost, and I want to love you the right way. So that's why I'm setting this boundary.
Yeah. Loving yourself enough to set boundaries is a good way to look at it because you deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of who that boundary is with, it's really about you. You deserve it. You are worthy. And that's something that a lot of people struggle with, is the feeling of deserving, the feeling of worthiness and of love, which is why you got to really do that inner work to love yourself before you can go and try to establish a healthy relationship with somebody else, whether it be family or romantic relationships.
Yeah.
Because if you don't love yourself, at least from what I've seen, it seems like you're going to attract people that also don't love you the way that you deserve.
Yes. And imagine that for a foster youth, you know? Yes.
Yeah. And something that I've learned over the years, and I want to say it was on like one of those banners at middle school or high school. You know how they had
Yeah.
like the words of wisdom all around,
Mhm.
but it was, you teach people how to treat you.
Mhm.
So by you enforcing your boundaries, you are teaching them to treat you better and treat you the
Mhm.
way that you want to be treated. Which, the golden rule has been around forever and ever, um, but it's kind of shifted now into the platinum rule,
Mm.
which instead of treating people how you expect to be treated, it's treat them
Mhm.
how they expect to be treated.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
I know that's something that I've struggled with too. Boundaries are hard, especially when you grow up in, a constantly shifting environment, with not really a lot of stability. I didn't grow up in foster care, but I had a lot of instability in my
Mhm.
life, and I'm still learning how to put boundaries in place. And I'm over 40 at this point.
Me too, yes. I know, I think you did ask me about a resource. One person I'd love to point people to is Dr. Henry Cloud. He has a book on boundaries. It is a faith-based book, but the principles are, the principles they work. And I probably should go and read it again myself because it's been it's been a few years since I've read it. But you can get it online. And then two, just a little tidbit, like if people can't afford to buy books like Hoopla through the library, the Huntsville Public Library, you can rent his book off of Hoopla, the Hoopla app. I think it's Hoopla, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's a
Oh,
really
nice.
good book.
I didn't know we had that. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a lot of stuff available too on, I think it's LibriVox.
Mm-hmm.
LibriVox is a good resource for downloading free open source books and things like that. I'm not sure if it's on there, but and then also YouTube. I mean, some of
Mm-hmm.
these authors have given talks that give you
Mm-hmm.
insight into their material, and so don't sleep on those free resources.
Yes. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I love what you're doing, and boundaries are great and really needed. And another thing you mentioned that really stood out to me is that self identity.
Mm-hmm.
The way we see ourselves matters so much more than how other people see us, and often influence how other people see
Mm-hmm.
us too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
What are
think
your thoughts?
I think I definitely went through a time where the way I was seeing myself, it wasn't positive. And so in turn, the way I thought other people perceived me wasn't positive. In turn, I um my ability to reach for like certain goals, if I'm doubting my capability, or if I can ever do something before I actually start, how do I ever start, so um identity, and even identity as it relates to my faith, what like God says about me, has been the biggest game changer in my life. And I'm still working on that. That's probably going to be a forever thing. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to learn, how to view myself in the right way. And I definitely love, as I'm whenever I'm learning things about myself, or um learning healthy ways to, like healthier perspectives. I love sharing that with other people and other women, young women, even kids. It starts there with children. So yeah, identity is very important.
Yeah, I mean, you got to teach them young if you can, because we are easily molded as children from our experiences, especially up until like year 7 or 8. That's when we're
Mhm.
really absorbing everything like a sponge. And so
Mm.
teaching kids you are worthy,
Mhm.
you are loved, and
Mhm.
um, teach them that their viewpoint of themselves is more important than anyone else.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because, you know, the relationship we have with ourselves, outside of the relationship that you might have with God, if you're a believer, is the most important. You are there from the minute you're born inside your own head, and you're going to be there until the end. And people come and go, but your relationship with yourself is crucial.
Yeah. Well, I think what's the saying? Like you can't escape yourself. No matter how, yeah, you can't escape yourself. So, yeah,
People
I agree.
try. I know I used to try.
Me too. Me too. Yeah, me too. So,
But
yeah.
now I really enjoy being by myself. And used to be like in my early 20s, especially after I got divorced,
Mhm.
I was depressed. I didn't know who I was. I used my house. I had an apartment. I used it as like it was my locker room. I was there
Mm.
to sleep and shower, and that's it. And I would always be out and about, and really I was running from me.
Me too. I experienced that same thing. I experienced that same thing.
Now I stay home most of the time, and I love being alone. I turn down plans all the time simply because I really just enjoy solitude,
Mhm.
and being able to just think and write my thoughts out and
Mm.
things like that. I've become a little bit more of an introvert as I've gotten older.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think, is it okay? Can I ask you?
Yeah, please. Yes.
Okay. I'm like, but what was the turning point to you getting, like, how did you get to that place?
I did a lot of different things. Changing my self talk was huge,
Mm,
which I had to become aware of it first. We have that voice in our heads that are constantly running, and taking note of what are you saying to yourself. And I, at one
mhm.
time, was berating myself. I was very, very hard on myself. And I would say things in my head, sometimes even out loud too, like, you dumbass,
Me
like, what are
too.
you, stupid? I
Yeah,
mean, you're not going to talk to a friend that way. Why would you talk to yourself that way? Right.
exactly,
So,
exactly.
awareness was key. And then I started changing the way I talk to myself proactively. And, you know, it takes a while to change those habits, but I read somewhere that for every negative thought you have, you need 5 positive thoughts to counteract.
That is so
And
good.
so I would try to do that. And I would write affirmations on sticky notes and put them all around my house, so that at any point I could look around and see something positive that says something like, you are beautiful, you are loved,
Yeah.
you are strong, you are resilient, you've got this, like things like that. Until I eventually believed it.
Yes.
And it took a while because I went through some dark things, sexual assault, very ugly times that really shook me to my core and made me feel even less worthy of. I mean, I was even suicidal at one point,
Mhm, mhm.
and I had to do a lot of work. So the positive affirmations, the taking note of what you're saying and changing that message, and then journaling, writing out my thoughts and feelings was
Yes.
really, really helpful. And talking too, because I'm a talker. So
Yeah.
I'll just like press record on my phone and
Yeah.
then talk it out.
Mhm.
Um, and of course, talking to people. I went through therapy and things like that, which were very helpful. But it was my work to do, and therapy was there to give me ideas, but it really was ultimately up to
You mentioned journaling. That's not something I really enjoy because it's the getting the thoughts out of my head so I can actually see, okay, this is what's going on. And then the what do I need to believe instead, or how do I need to look at this instead? So I love, love, love journaling and creative journaling too. Because the creative aspect I think is almost like a kind of like a release, or just it's peaceful, you know, it makes me feel good along with getting out what I need to get out on paper.
Yeah, I mean, the ability to create is something that it gives you a sense of accomplishment. It gives you a sense of self-expression. So I could definitely see the value in doing that. And similarly, I like vision boards,
Mm-hmm.
because I think visualization is huge. If you can't see yourself succeeding or winning at something, you're probably not going to.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
But one thing I want to kind of hone in on there when it comes to journaling is it also gives you, if you write it down, it gives you the ability to challenge it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak for everybody, but I know that I have felt things and thought things and even believed things that weren't true. And it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't until I wrote them down and I went, is this even true?
Mm-hmm.
So if you
That's
don't give yourself that outlet, you may not ever get to that point where you're able to challenge your own beliefs.
mm-hmm. And then the another cool thing, and this is actually recent that I kind of discovered this, is going back and looking at okay, so we're talking about our thought processing and like how we, you know, how we see ourselves and our identity and just how we're thinking. But on when it comes down to like our dreams and our goals, and this is gonna sound crazy because maybe everyone knows that like when we write down our goals, we're constantly going back to them to, you know, see if we're hitting the mark or staying focused. But I used to write stuff down and I would just leave it there. Like I was I wasn't revisiting what I was writing, the things that, you know, my ideas, my goals, like visions, like whatever it is. And so they were just sitting. And recently I was like, no, I have to go back and I have to like look over those things and I have to see, or it's a good idea to see if I'm actually working towards those things. And then I took it a step further and I created on my wall, um, because not only is it in my notebook, but it's like literally right there in front of me when I wake up in the morning. Um, Little sticky notes of things, and when I'm walking past it, you know, I'm looking at it. When I'm completing something, I'm checking it off, so that it just helps me stay focused on what I need to stay focused on. Because I used to have a really bad problem with staying focused. Like on Monday, I could be focused. By Saturday, it was a it was a whole nother story. And someone close to me, her name is Miss Sandra. I love her dearly. Excuse me. That's one thing she always says. She's like, if you just stay focused, Judiece, just stay focused. So that helps me with my focus. So yeah.
Well, as somebody who has ADHD, I
Mhm.
understand the need to stay focused because I can write something down and have all these great ideas and thoughts and things and then forget about them the next day or
Mhm.
even 20 minutes later because I'm,
Mhm.
oh, shiny, and I'm just
Mhm.
off on the next thing. And it has really been a struggle for me for a lot of years on building my life in ways that counteract those things because I know they're going to
Mhm.
happen. I'm never going to get rid of ADHD. It's who I
Mhm.
am. It's part of who I am. I just have to set myself up for success by knowing how to kind of overcome those things.
Yes.
Um, I love the idea of revisiting your goals on a regular basis and having them visible at all times because that way you can kind of bounce your thoughts off of it. You
Mhm.
know, like if you find yourself getting distracted with something or getting worked up about something, like look at your list of goals. How does this even apply? Does this even matter?
Mhm. Yeah. And there was a time, you know, um, there was a time where I really struggled with, and I think I'm going back to, you know, being like comfortable with ourselves and our own company. Like there was a time where I really struggled with like drinking, and I felt like looking back at that time, I felt like I was wasting time. Like I wasn't really achieving, you know, the things that I could have been achieving. And so now, and you know, like learning how to walk out sobriety, um, if I have that urge of like, you know what, I'm finna go turn up. It's a Taco Tuesday. I can be like, no, I can look at my goals. I can look at my goals, or and I can be like, no, I think I'm gonna stay in and I'm gonna work on something on my to-do list, and that helps me. That helps me a lot.
Yeah, I can relate. After my divorce, I didn't really drink alcohol a whole lot before. Um, but after my divorce, I was really partying all the time. And I think it was because I was just trying to escape my thoughts and feelings and pain.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I went crazy with it for a while in my like mid 20s. I
Mm-hmm.
was drinking heavily all the time. I mean binge drinking. Like there wasn't just having a couple beers. Like I was
Just
getting
bottles.
hammered,
I can relate. Yeah.
and I would be, with drinking comes making bad decisions
Yeah.
because when you get drunk, you kind of lose your sense of right and wrong and your filter. And so
Yeah.
I would get into altercations with people. I would hurt relationships with people.
Damn,
I
you
would
was
do
fighting. I was like,
risky behavior, huh?
yeah. I said you were fighting. I'm just joking.
No, I really was. I really
Yeah.
was. I did. I've definitely been in a few bar fights back in the day.
Yeah.
Um, Because I was just mouthy more than anything. Like, I never,
Mhm.
like, hit anybody. I wasn't, like, an attackative person,
Mhm.
like that, but I would just be mouthy, and I would get myself into situations that would sometimes turn violent,
Mhm.
and thankfully, nobody ever got, like, seriously hurt or anything,
Yeah.
a and I never had any, like, legal problems or anything about it, and I'm way over that. Like, I haven't done that for going on 2 decades now probably,
Yeah.
but there was a time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's because they say hurt people, right? So
Mhm.
if you are in pain, rather than trying to run from that pain or drown out that pain or numb that pain, you really need to look at it and you need to nurture yourself and love yourself through the pain. And
Yeah.
that's scary at times.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't know how to do that because they weren't taught the resources and the tools and things. And so that's why I love to see what you're doing, and definitely would love to be a part of it if there's anything I could do. I know you're putting together a list of coaches that are willing to uh, do life coaching for people that are in need, and
Mhm.
definitely include me on that list because I love to give back.
Yeah.
And I've gone and done some things where I went and spoke at a couple of alternative schools
Mhm.
to try to spread the message of, like, you can go through all this stuff and still turn out on, to be a good upstanding citizen. But the earlier you can work through that angst, the better.
Yes. Yes.
So how are you getting your message out?
Um, it's in the works. I'm like brainstorming, praying through a lot of things. But so far, social media, um, contacting the counties directly, the DHR counties directly, um, networking, talking to people that like you and other people that I've, built relationships with over the years. And so far that's it. Yeah, but
Have-
I'm learning a lot of stuff. I'm kind of just like feeling around. I'm learning as I go. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the best way to do it is just, kind of dip your toes in, get your name out there in all these different ways, and then figure out what do you really identify with, what really
Mhm.
strikes you. And um, the podcast thing for me is a way to share my thoughts and share tools with people, as well as get other people like yourself to share tools with people because everyone needs mentorship and guidance. um,
Mhm.
but also social media has been good with getting opportunities.
Mhm.
Posting things on LinkedIn and YouTube and even Instagram to a small degree have been helpful
Mhm.
for me. So
Yes.
what social media are you using for getting your word out?
Primarily Facebook. Eventually, I'll probably move to Instagram as well, maybe some TikTok, but primarily Facebook. So it's just Judiece Oliphant on Facebook. And I'll link, like everything on my page, like my personal page eventually, like in the bio section. So when Solid Youth rolls out, the link will be there. Judy Blooms, I need to add that link there. It's not there yet. The page is up, but the link is not there. The website, all that will be there underneath my personal page.
I love the name Solid Youth. I
Mm-hmm.
really love the name. That is so solid.
Solid, like sturdy, can withstand,
Yeah, stable.
stable,
Yeah. It evokes a
stable.
lot of imagery and all of it is very strong.
Thank you. I'm glad.
Yeah,
I
that's
am
awesome.
glad.
And I love seeing people embrace entrepreneurship. That has got to be exciting.
Girl, it's exciting, but it's exciting. I'm just gonna say it's exciting. And I love the creativity part behind like the Judy Blooms and being able to use my hands because I'm not cooking as much as I used to. And it's not to say that I won't visit it in the future, but for right now, I'm like, I want to do something different. So making flower balloons is different. There wasn't when I was like researching the market, so I was like, oh, this is not here in Huntsville. So I'm gonna bring it. I want to bring it. And they're pretty. Like, who doesn't like pretty things? They're pretty.
Yeah.
This big balloon flowers. And it's fun. And I have some other like entrepreneurial ideas, but right now I just want to build this one and focus on this one. And I think I was afraid of entrepreneurship for a long time, but I began to realize I had an entrepreneurial mindset spirit ever since I was a little girl. Like I would make these stationary sets like so I was like mixing my creativity with being an entrepreneur. So I would take computer paper and make tie-dye paper with water and what's the stuff? Food coloring.
Oh,
I would put them outside to dry. And then I would make envelopes with the paper so you can get the envelope. And I would take them to school and sell them. And I
huh.
remember times where I would be looking up like how to start a lemonade stand or just I always wanted to like have a business. So and as I got older in adulthood, and even that I think goes to identity. I think that was a part of this is a part of what I was always supposed to be, and embracing that. I'm like, okay, I can do this because I've been doing it. I've been wanting to do it and I can do it. Like I think the way God has wired me to think, um, like in as I'm walking with him, as I'm, meeting people who are entrepreneurs and networking and learning, I can do this. So that's the place that I'm in. And with the consistency piece, I believe it's gonna things everything is gonna go well.
Wow. I can relate to that too because I've also been afraid. It took me a long time to really embrace the entrepreneur thing. Um, my stepdad was an entrepreneur and he always tried to push me into running my own business rather than going and working for the man.
Mhm.
And I resisted it for so long, and he passed away before I embraced entrepreneur life. But I'm sure he can see
Mm.
me, and
He would
he's
be
proud of
so
me.
happy and glad and proud of you. Yes.
I resisted it for so long, though. I mean, I don't know. I think it was like the insecurity of like having a regular paycheck. When you work
Mm.
for somebody else, you know when you're going to get paid, and you know exactly how much that's going to be.
Yes.
But there's so much freedom in entrepreneurship because I can turn down gigs if I don't want to do it, and I have, and I
Yeah.
will.
And then too, I think like for me as a Christian, the faith aspect of it. So, if I'm relying on the Holy Spirit for wisdom, if I'm praying, like I'm praying every step of the way. Like, Lord, help me to do that because I don't know how to do it. I've never done it before. So you got to help me along with the things that I'm learning. So that's taking also some of the fear the fears, like, well, I'm learning to put the fear like there, like take it off myself a little bit and like relying on like God to help me throughout
Right.
the process. Because I think before, like when I started Taste and See a few years back, I don't know that I was inviting God into that process. Like I was trying to do it all by myself. And but this time I'm doing it a little different because I am inviting God like into all of the process. Even when it comes, I have a fear about handling money because I'm not the best budgeter. Except for at this age, I'm not the best budgeter. So and so okay, well, God help me. You know, what areas, how do I need to be more disciplined? You know, do I need to bring someone in to help me, you know, with the money aspect of it, you know? So
Do you know Deanna Norfleet?
Deanna Northley. Mm-mm. Her name doesn't sound familiar. I may know
She
her if I
she
see
is
her face.
she's an amazing person. She's somebody who started her entrepreneurial journey recently too. And I used to work with her at BDO,
Mm-hmm.
and we were on the same team. And she's phenomenal. For one, she has a balloon decoration business called Pretty
Okay.
Decor, where
Okay.
she does like arches and different pieces and things. So there might be a collaborative opportunity for you too. And
Yes.
then two, she's a financial coach. She
Okay.
has a company called Financial Therapy with
Okay.
Coach D is what it is. Financial Therapy with
Financial
Coach D.
therapy. That
And
sounds familiar.
I'm trying to think if she's from here. I feel like she is from Huntsville. And she's younger than me, so um I don't know. I feel like you might need an introduction. I could
Yes.
definitely make that happen because
Yes,
she's
please do.
amazing and so highly intelligent and kind, and also really I had her on the podcast. Actually, if you want to go back and check it out, I think like 4 episodes ago she was a
Okay.
guest. So maybe go and look at that and then see what you think. And if you
Okay.
want to make an introduction, maybe we can like go have lunch sometime or something like
Yeah.
that because she's
Yeah.
amazing. And I always like to bring people together, if I
Yeah.
see people that are kind of doing similar things, together we could do more. I mean, that's just the way that I
Mm-hmm.
see it.
I agree. 100%. And I would love to do that. So it
Yay.
sounds like a plan.
Awesome. So I know you're continuing to raise your bar in life, which is
Mhm.
amazing to see the growth since I first met you. Probably about a decade ago now, I think.
I
I
was
think I
just
may
gonna
have met you in
say, I think I was like maybe 23 when we met, Tim, 24. It's been a long, and I think back then I remember you doing the prom dresses.
with Hope.
Remember?
Yep. Yes.
Yes,
Optimizing personal empowerment. Yep.
yes, I remember. So yeah, it's been a minute.
That was in we founded that company, which by the way, we shut that down. It ended
Mhm.
up we did a lot of good for the community. But the two people that I founded it with wanted to move on and do other things, and I couldn't run it by
Mhm.
myself, although I did try for a little while.
Mhm.
Um, but that was 2016 when we
Yeah.
founded that.
Wow. And here we are. Okay.
So 9 years ago, and it's amazing to see how much you've grown over the years and all the different things. Like I commend your bravery for trying all these different things because at one time I was afraid to try new things.
Mhm.
And here you are, you're just embracing it, and you're finding what doesn't work for you, what you're not drawn to, and maybe it's just for a season, or maybe it's just for a reason, just like people, right? Like with Taste and See, I was so excited when I saw you doing that business. And
And I had to get comfortable with trying new stuff. I wasn't because there were times where I felt like a failure because, you know, I'm looking around and which comparison, that's a whole other conversation, but I'm looking I'm looking around and my friends and people I know, they have like these consistent careers or businesses. And there was even times where I was told, like, you got to choose something that's, you know, stick with it. But it's like, no, I'm finding my way. And that's okay. That's okay. So,
Yeah. And the way I look at it, how do you know what's for you until you find out all of the different things that are not for you?
mhm, mhm.
Like I've had a few businesses that I started and then shut down. And I had someone ask me, um, I did a podcast interview a couple years back where somebody asked me, "How do you feel about your failed businesses?" I said, "Well, I don't really see them as failed businesses because I proactively chose to go a different path and shut them down. But either way, even if you want to call it a failure, I learned so much."
Yeah, and that's what matters most, that we're learning.
Yeah.
Yep.
But if if you don't try a bunch of different stuff, how do you know? And maybe it's easy for some people. Maybe they do a thing and they realize like, "Oh, that's my passion."
And that's
That's
okay. Yeah, and that's okay for them. But I think too, there's that aspect of when you have different gifts, like you have different things that you can do too. And it's like, okay, well, what do you do then as well? Um, so that's I feel like something that for me personally, I had to be okay with just trying out the different things I like to do and that I can do, you know?
And
But
especially when you're creative like you are and
mhm,
like I am too, because when you're a creator, there are so many ways to create.
mhm, mhm,
Your journal is one thing. Cooking is a whole nother thing.
mhm.
The tie-dyed paper that you were talking about, your stationery sets when you were a kid. Hello, that's amazing. I'm jealous, by the way. I've never even seen tie-dyed paper, but now I want some.
I don't even know where, yeah. It was probably something I got off of, you remember Zoom?
What was it?
Zoom on PBS Kids, do you remember that stuff?
Mm-mm, mm-mm. I didn't watch a whole lot of TV growing up, though.
Yeah, who knows where the idea came from, but yeah.
But
I'll
when you're, a
send you can still do it now if you want to, Tim. I can see we
I
can get
might need
together.
to because it
Yeah.
sounds amazing, and I love tie-dye. I'm a huge fan of tie-dye.
We can get
Uh,
together and do some tie-dye paper. Seriously.
Yeah, that would be so fun. That would be awesome. I love tie-dyeing stuff, and, I had my business Gorgeous Earth for a while where I
Mhm.
would, I did, like, the skincare and hair care stuff, but then I also, just for fun, because I had a booth and I'm like, "Why not?" I would sell
Mhm.
tie-dye. So,
Mhm.
I have a really cool set of sheets that I tie-dyed that I absolutely adore.
Oh, wow.
People love sheet sets. That was
Yeah.
one thing that sold pretty well, because they're different. You don't really see that
Mhm.
very often.
Mhm.
But we do. We need to plan like a craft night.
We'll get it on the books for sure. Eventually, I want to do, journaling classes, and now that we're talking, I'm like, "Oh, that could be something like tie-dyeing, I don't know, pages in a journal somehow, or like I don't know, but my gears are turning now. But
Yeah.
I would love to invite you to one of those classes too, one of the journaling classes that I plan to do.
Yeah, and if you can make it creative in whatever
Mhm,
fashion, and the tie-dye thing is one way, but there's other ways. You could do like when I like to do vision boards with people
mhm,
because everybody just like brings their magazines and scrapbook paper and stuff, and then like we trade, and it's just fun because while you're doing something with your hands, then it like lets your mind wander, and that's when you can
mhm.
really kind of, I don't know, get like closer in tune with yourself.
Mm, yeah, I
So I definitely
agree.
see the value of kind of combining those two things. You're inspiring me so much today. This is a good and timely podcast interview.
Wow. Well, I'm glad.
Me
I am
too.
glad. I was a little nervous at first, but then I'm like, it's Tam. We're just talking and it's flowing.
It's just casual. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it's okay.
And we have the ability to edit if anything goes off the rails, so
Okay.
no worries there. Because I've had some podcasts where things went off the rails for various reasons.
Yeah,
But no, I want it to be authentic.
yeah.
This podcast is really, it's informal, and it's just sharing conversations that may or may not really be able to help somebody, because I love listening to podcasts. I don't know about you, but
Mhm, mhm. I do too.
I
And
find myself
how long have you been doing your podcast here?
I have been doing it for I think July will be a year.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so about 9 months now.
Okay.
Still trying to figure out what I want to do with my life, right? I did a radio show for a
You're doing
year.
what you want to do with your life.
Huh?
I say you're doing what you want to do with your life.
Yes, 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 but refining it, refining it, refining it.
Yeah.
Because I want to do everything, right? I want to
Yeah.
act, I want to write, I want to do comedy, I want to do music, I want to write a book, all these things.
I remember that song you did. I remember. I remember. Yeah. I forgot about
Well,
that.
I am a creator. And
Yeah.
so the way I look at it is I'm creative,
Mhm.
whatever it is. And so um, my last guest on my podcast, Tyler, he and I had a conversation about what for him comedy is his number one. He wants to do comedy more than anything.
Mhm.
I wish I had that clarity.
Mhm.
I want to create, and I see myself as a messenger. And whether
Mhm.
that message is conveyed through music, or through a speech, or through a
Mhm.
book, or through a podcast, I'm sharing messages, and that's what is at my core is to be a
Mhm.
messenger.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I am working on new music, by the way.
Okay. Keep me posted.
It's gonna be different. It's gonna be different. I've done goofy stuff in the past, and that's because I was just getting comfortable. But
Mhm.
now I'm getting more comfortable, and I'm really sharing my inner thoughts.
You said sharing your inner thoughts. I think there was a time too with like my creativity. Uh, I was like I recently too just got to the point like it's okay. I think as creators we want to express, like we want to share. And I don't know why did you ever go through that? Because I fought that for a long time, like, and I don't know why I did. Almost,
Like you don't want to share it, you mean?
yeah, like I didn't want to share it or like why do I want to share and just yeah, I love to share. And recently, I've come to the conclusion like it's just part of my makeup. I think it's being someone who's creative, like creativity in its essence is sharing and expressing. And so that's okay. Did you ever go through that or is it just me?
Yeah, no, I definitely did. And I don't always share. Like I do a lot of stuff where I will only share with like a small group of people.
Mm,
Like most people don't even know I do music because
mm,
I don't ever promote it. I don't ever share it. And like I think that's an insecurity thing for me.
mhm,
It might be like a worthiness thing at its core,
mm,
where I don't feel like I deserve to be
mhm,
there or to do those things. Or like I have an inner group of friends that most of them aren't even here in this state, but like I have like five people that I always share stuff with. When I write a
mhm,
song or I'm working on something, I will normally reach out to all of these people and be like, hey, what do you think of this? Um, but outside of that, I don't share it because I feel like those people love me no matter what. And so they will give me good feedback or bad feedback, and I can believe them. Whereas if I
mhm,
share it with the masses, I'm opening myself up to criticism and sometimes hate because people are mean.
mhm. That makes sense. I
I
get
got to
that.
get over that though. I got to get over the insecurity thing because what's the point of like doing all the work to make something if you're not going to share it?
Yeah. Yeah. I
What about
don't
you?
know. I think it's like a double, I don't know. Because one thing I will also say too is that there are times where I think I would share things like for approval. And so whereas that was my insecure, portion when it came down to sharing. So girl, I don't know.
Like a look what I did kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay, now I do that too. Don't get it twisted. I do that
Okay.
too. If I'm proud of something,
Okay.
if I'm actually proud of something, then yes, I will share it and I will be like, look what I did. Look what I
Yeah.
can do. Like
Yeah.
I've been that way my entire life. And
Yeah.
I think that also stems from an insecure place. Like I
Mhm.
want somebody to approve me.
Yes, yes. I'm so glad you can relate because sometimes I just feel like it's just me.
Oh, it's definitely not just you.
Okay.
No, 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 no. It's definitely not
Yeah.
just you. It is so many people, and um, I talk to a lot of women, but it's
Mm,
men too, and I think it's just the human condition. I think a lot of people that are self-aware, as we learn to be more self-aware, we can kind of overcome these things. But there are people
mm,
walking around that are delusional and they think they're great.
mm.
Keep them away from me.
Yeah. Like for real. Yeah. So,
I've worked with a few like that.
mm.
But this has been an awesome conversation, and I know we're getting close to the end here. So I did want to just ask you, uh, if you could go back in time. This is a question I like to ask people. If you could go back in time and talk to a younger version of yourself, what would you say to yourself, and what age comes to mind for you?
So I did kind of think about this question. I did. When you sent it to me, I want to say middle school age, like sixth grade, because I think so many of the negative ideas that I formed about myself and my identity, my insecurities really started then. And honestly, first and foremost, and I know it sounds so cliche, but it's really the core of what part of what has helped like heal me as a woman, and I'm still healing, but like has brought healing, and that has brought me to like a stable place in my mind and my emotions just in life now, but that I'm loved, and I'm worthy of love,
Mm.
of being loved, and that I'm cared about, and that I matter, and that I'm special. Just those type of talks. That's what I would tell, and I would tell myself that over and over and over and over and over again. And that's it, to be honest. That's
Why is
it.
middle school so hard? My gosh.
Girl, middle
Kids
school
are
was
so
rough.
mean.
Do
They
you
are
hear
so
me?
mean. Like 6th grade to 8th grade was like the worst time of my life in so many ways because of just how torturous it was.
Yeah. And so I think, yeah. And I don't, yeah.
Maybe it's the hormones. Maybe it's because everybody's hormones are raging and like we don't know how to deal with them yet.
Yeah.
Because it seems
But,
like middle
I
school
didn't
kids are
see,
mean.
I didn't seem to really get out of like some of those things that I thought about myself though. Like it took a long time. It took a long time. So
Well, I'm so glad that you are there now, and not to say that you're perfect and that you fully love yourself the way that you need to all the
right.
time, but
Right.
it's a continuous journey for sure.
Yes, it is.
But once you build that solid relationship with yourself, then when things happen in your life and when people hurt you, which is inevitable, you've got your foundation, and you always will be okay because you know you're loved and you're worthy, and you're great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, makes me want to cry. I love it. I wish you were here. I would give you a hug.
I got a little emotional at that part, but I'm not crying today. No.
Yeah, I put mascara on today. I'm not crying today.
Girl, no. I like to joke. I tell people, I like at one point I used to wear like lashes to church and stuff. I stopped. I don't wear no makeup.
That's a lot of work. I'm not doing
I
all that.
cry. My lash be over here and down here. It doesn't make sense at this point. I just no.
It's not worth it. But
Baby, I
you know
cry
what?
about everything.
I think that's an insecurity thing too, right? Like, why did we? Because I used to go all out and I'd do full face,
Uh,
hair. Like, how much time did we waste?
yes.
Oh,
Sometimes I still like to do makeup, but Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And then it's
But
getting
you're
hot out.
naturally beautiful. I mean, you
Thank you.
don't
You are
need.
too,
Well,
Tam.
thank you.
You look really good.
I've got makeup on though. Don't get it twisted. My eyelashes are blonde, so if
It
I don't
looks
wear makeup, it
natural.
looks like I don't have any.
Well, it looks you look really natural. And yes.
Well, thank you. And if more women could really just learn to love themselves for who they are and just do a little bit to help boost your like look, put mascara on for me, put some
Mhm.
eyebrows on for me. 'Cause my eyebrows are blonde too.
Mhm.
It makes a world of difference with my self-esteem. And
Mhm. There's nothing like getting your eyebrows done. I need to get mine done. There's nothing like getting your eyebrows done. And then every now and then I like to, put on a little wiggy wig, switch it up a little bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've got a whole bunch of wigs too. They are fun. I love playing with wigs. They
Yeah,
are
to be
super fun.
I remember we had a bigger video.
Yeah, I probably have like 10 or 12 different wigs.
Really?
Yeah. Most of them are just like brightly colored or I do have like a really nice black bob though that
Mhm.
just for giggles, like once in a while I'll just wear because
Mhm.
it just looks so different and people
Mhm.
are like, I don't know, like I can put on this whole different persona
It's
with
a
it.
hand turner.
Yeah, Andrew's like, "Who are you? What is going on?"
Oh, how's Andrew doing?
He's great. He's
That's
doing
good.
really good. He got out of the army.
Mhm.
He went to school. He got his engineering degree. Now he's working at Northrop and climbing up the corporate ladder and
That's
kicking
awesome.
butt. He's doing
Yeah.
great, and he's kind of edging into management,
Mhm. Okay.
which he's always kind of resisted leadership.
Mhm.
I think just a fear as well, but he's really starting to embrace it now, and he's kicking butt. I'm really proud of him.
That's awesome.
Yes.
I don't know if he will remember me, but tell him I say hello.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he will. I'm sure
Yeah.
he will. I'll definitely tell him, and I'll make him watch the episode.
Okay.
He doesn't watch all my episodes, but sometimes I'm like, "Hey, you got to check this one out."
Yeah. I
I'll
got
definitely let
you.
him know. Well, this has been amazing. Is there anything else before we wrap that you would like to share? Any piece of advice or anything like that?
I don't think there's anything I want to share or would like to share. I'm proud of you and I'm excited for what you're doing with the podcast. I hope that you continue with it for as long as you want to, you know. And thank you for having me on. And yeah, this has been really nice. This is the first time I've ever done this too, by the way. So
Oh, I love it. I'm the first. I love that.
yes, you're the first person to ever so yeah.
Well,
Yes.
I'm super glad to have you, and this has been a great conversation. And Judice, where can people follow you? If you just want to plug for people that want to get your journal, how can they get a copy of it and
Mhm.
stay in touch with you to kind of just see what you're working on?
So you can follow me on Facebook, Judiece Oliphant. Shoot me a friend request. My email address is judiece.oliphant@gmail.com. And that's JUDIECE.OLIPHANT and Solid, a guided journal for foster youth can be found on Amazon. So just type in Solid, a guided journal for foster youth on Amazon. That's another thing I'm working on getting it in other places, but for right now, it's on Amazon.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I can't wait to check it out.
Yes, girl. I'll send you a copy. I'll send you a copy.
Okay,
Yes,
wonderful.
yes,
Well, thank you so much. And thanks everybody for tuning in to the Raise Your Own Bar podcast. Until we talk
yes.
again.
Thank you. Bye.